J Pink, let's go ahead and roll that beautiful bean footage.
Because also, I have Headway G waiting for next month per the calendar, but I'm hearing it's okay to start now if you see damage or not. Yes, if you see damage or you have a history of disease problems in your lawn this time of year, apply the fungicide. Like, do not wait until you see it, you see the problem. Because here's the thing, once you see it, it's not like you apply the fungicide and on that same day, it's gonna stop, right? It's gonna get a little bit worse from the time you start noticing it, then it'll stop, and then the lawn will begin healing. So if in April, like in my lawn, if you see where you have you've had disease problems in your lawn this time of year, do not wait till May to get your preventative fungicide down. You know, there are some people that apply fungicide when soil temps get into the mid 50s. You know, there's people that do that, and they'll do another one now. So they'll do one like in early March. They'll do another one now. For most people, unless you have a history of disease problems, that's typically not necessary. But yeah, per the calendar in the academy, if you don't have disease problems, start next month. If you do have a history of disease problems in your lawn, like large patch forming, those kinds of problems, this time of year, start now. Don't wait until the problem manifests itself, because by then it's too late. Then you're in for like a 2-3 week healing period. You know what I mean? So yes, you're not gonna hurt anything by starting now. Make sure you water it in, you apply it properly, you water it in properly. All right, next up is Latanja Moore. She says, how often can you put down Headway G? Great question, Latanja. So the memory serves me, the annual limit of Headway G per 1,000 square feet is around 19, I think it's like 19, just over 19 pounds. Just over 19 pounds per 1,000 square feet. So if you take like the higher end of the application rate, so 4 pounds, that's about four-ish applications, between 4 to 5 applications per year. Here's the thing though, I would not do 2 applications of the same fungicide in a row, like within, let's say, in other words, say in the springtime, right? Let's say like right now, this time of year, you're having a disease problem in your lawn, right? You do an application of Headway now. You do another application 21 days later. That should clear it up. It really shouldn't be a problem from there on out. But let's say you get around to like July and there's like some summer patch or some other problem coming in your lawn, which again, shouldn't be an issue, but that's happening. In that case, if you can, I would rotate to a different fungicide. So a good option, it can be another, it can be like Headway is a 3-in-11, and Pillar SC is also a 3-in-11 mode of action. So you could rotate to Pillar. You could rotate to like a 336F, like the Clary's product. You could rotate to that. But what I'm trying to say is, even though you're able to do 4-ish applications in a year, that doesn't mean I would necessarily
pause. Just real quick, I got to stop here for 1 second. Does anybody have a measuring cup that has ish on it? I just need to know where I get one of those. Can I go to Golf Course Lawn Academy and get an ish measuring cup? All right, play the fucking video.
4 applications of the same fungicide in a row. You know what I'm saying? So you can do like 2 with this, and if it happens to be that you still have a disease problem in your lawn, again, you really shouldn't. But if it happens that you need another one, like during the growing season, I would rotate to something else. So again, Pillar SC is a good option. The Clary's is the 336F is also a good fungicide as well to use. So yeah. So, and the same thing for this. This is rated at, it's 5. I think it's 5 applications per year. So it's 1 ounce per 1,000 square feet, no more than 5 in a calendar year. But it's the same thing. I wouldn't, run like 5 applications of this, in a row. I wouldn't only use this. It's important to rotate your fungicides, especially if your lawn has a history of disease problems, because you don't want it to take the chance of it forming resistance. So.
Okay, boys and girls, listen.
Wow.
Have you ever seen?
Right.
Have you ever seen that clip from the Olympics where the slalom skier misses like the second gate and literally just the entire way down, he's just cartwheeling down the. You just watched a reenactment of that with somebody trying to explain fungicides. That listen, I'm sure he's a nice guy. He's got a lawn, and that this is like peak Dunning-Kruger. Like, the answer should have been, I can tell you what the label says, but beyond that, from a contextual standpoint, from an experience standpoint, I don't know. All right, Ray, let's go to the Jodo's turf here, because this was legitimately hard to listen to, so much to the point that I had to resort to humoring myself and laughing as a coping mechanism to get through the whole goddamn thing. Okay. That being said, first, can you quickly explain FRAC codes real quick and what FRAC codes are? Because we're talking about groups of fungicides. So real quick, kind of just lay the landscape out for us, 30,000 feet.
Okay. A FRAC code is the specific chemical mode of action of an individual fungicide active ingredient. And the reason why the FRAC code was laid out is because there are so many different actual individual chemicals, but many of them have the same mode of action. For example, Ron Henry said something about a group 3. And if I'm not mistaken, group 3, I believe, is a demethylation inhibitor. I know them as DMIs. And among your DMIs, you've got propiconazole, you've got myclobutanil, you've got triadimethan, you've got tritaconazole, you've got a whole host of others. And then when you go 11, I believe that is the strobilurin fungicides. And what have we got there? We've got azoxystrobin, we've got pyraclostrobin, we've got trifloxystrobin, we've got several different ones. And the whole point of these FRAC codes is that when a fungicide is used repeatedly in back-to-back applications, certain diseases, there's a high risk of causing resistance to that active ingredient. And Ryan, you and I both know the top diseases in turfgrass for becoming resistant. Dollar spot, right? And Pythium, right? Pythium can become resistant, and when it becomes resistant, you are foobarred. And
okay, go ahead.
And here's the thing about misusing a group 11 fungicide, also known as a strobilurin. Do you know what happens when you repeatedly apply a fungicide to an area, even though you don't happen to have that active disease occurring, but you repeatedly apply it? Do you guys know what happens?
Resistance. Enlighten me.
Okay. What you do is you basically prime that area to have an outbreak of a resistant pathogen like Pythium. Because you see, Pythium is a soil-borne disease that appears when environmental conditions are right, and you're also dealing with a susceptible host. So, in other words, by somebody throwing out Headway G and Pillar SC willy-nilly over their lawn several times over the season, to me, they are just asking and begging to have a Pythium outbreak. And likewise, what they're also doing is they're also repeatedly exposing the dollar spot pathogen family to repeated exposures to the demethylation inhibitor fungicides. And by the way, resistance to DMI fungicides is a nightmare on golf courses, because when that comes up,
anywhere.
No, well, when it comes up, that knocks out the inexpensive and cost-effective,
Time's up.
you know,
It's over.
option for dealing with dollar spot. I mean, that just knocks out a go-to, because you know what happens when dollar spot is no longer susceptible to DMIs? Then fungicides like Eagle, Balaton, and propiconazole stop working on dollar spot, and you're on trouble. You're in trouble. You're behind the 8 ball, because what you got left are the other fungicides within the FRAC code that they're newer, and along with that brand new shiny package comes the brand new price tag, because now you're looking at products like the SDHIs, you're looking at products like the dicarboxamides, which are old chemistries, but they're expensive chemistries. And then you're also looking at older stuff still, like PCNB. And somebody asked me on the Discord about PCNB. And here's what I know about PCNB. PCNB is essentially a few molecules removed from DDT and lindane. So guess what the EPA thinks about PCNB?
It's done. It's over. It's gone away.
It's going away, isn't it, Ryan?
No,
It's out
gone,
of
yeah.
here. So the thing is that when I see somebody messing around with fungicides and they don't know what they're doing, and they're doing it in such a way that they're going to give rise to the superbug, I'm cringing. Okay, I'm honestly cringing, because the defenses that we had against resistant diseases, they're all going away, because EPA also doesn't like mancozeb or chlorthalonil either. And mancozeb and chlorthalonil were my favorites, because I knew that when they were part of the fungicide program, I reduced my risk of resistant pathogens, because mancozeb and chlorthalonil are what's considered multi-site contact fungicides that kill mycelium and spores on contact in a very multi-site process. Because you see, these newer fungicides, they all act by specific interference or inhibition with one chemical process within the disease. And the problem with only working on that one site is that it's very easy for natural selection and Darwinism to take effect. And before you know it, you have a disease or a pathogen that has evolved to resist that chemical action. It's not that hard to do. So, Ron Henry, if you don't know what you're doing with fungicides, stay out of it. Thank you.
So there's a few things here I want to make sure we're clear on. Number one is identifying the actual disease that you have before choosing a product, and picking a rate of said product that you're going to use, and even more specifically, a timing of said product that you're going to use.
Yes.
Because making curative applications in the spring for large patch, let's say, which is what I think Ron was talking about, at this juncture might not be the best thing. I'm not going to say there's not cases where that doesn't need to occur. However, just a blanket statement like that is just wrong. The idea here of mixing up or rotating fungicides is generally accepted, but it's not necessarily a hard, fast rule. You do have turf pathologists, right? Some of the best to come through, which will sell you, use it till it doesn't work anymore. And I'm not advocating that right now. I'm just saying that there's other schools of thought out there that take place. So people should know that and understand that. Now, rotating from a 3 and 11 to a 3 and 11 is not rotating. It's completely irrelevant. Not only that, but no. So here's a good site brought to you by the Ohio State University, of course. And I'll see if there's a more updated one. This one is from 2020. I know there's been some new chemistry that's come on the market since. None of it really is labeled for home lawns, though. So there actually is a home lawn and lawn care applicator one. I will get that one, and we'll link that up in the show notes. But go ahead and scroll down there to group 3 there real quick. Slide up. And I want you to look at the 5th column on the right. And they're talking about the resistance, the propensity for resistance. If you'll notice, all those group 3s of the DMIs, high levels or high propensity for resistance, right? Slide on down there to group 11 there, the strobilurin's or your QOIs, also high for every single one, okay? Then finally, you can go all the way down and look at thiophenate methyl, right? Cleary's 3336. It's also going to be high as well. So making the suggestion that you should apply these products with no disease identified and with no specific timing other than a number of days that it says on the label is simply irresponsible. Okay? And it undermines what good people do in terms of making the best management practices and the decisions to make on timing, on rates, and on products after they've identified a disease. So I understand the disease shows up in home lawns and everything like that, but this kind of shit is the thing that gets these products banned outright because people are fucking up and not using them correctly. So please stop instructing people to use them incorrectly and fucking shit up. All right, I'm done.
Thank you for watching this clip. Be sure to tune in to the Burn and Return podcast on any of your favorite podcast apps every Wednesday, where we discuss the industry's hottest news.